And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your host, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and welcome one and all to a very special double shot edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam, the show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world talking about your Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments we share together, we hope that you are entertained, enthralled, and enlightened as we discuss the upcoming games for your defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks as they prepare to face the Arizona Cardinals and the Thanksgiving game with the San Francisco 49ers. So sit back, relax, grab a huge beverage or sin of your choice, and remember, double your pleasure, double your fun. As is the usual with every show, we are not alone. No, I am joined like I am every episode by the 12th Man Fan Jam Posse, a ragtag group of diehard Seahawk fans from around the world. First, the Ying to my Yang. You can find his Minecraft videos on the Suffolk Blue YouTube channel. He often doubles over in laughter. From merry old England, he is Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hello. Hello, Moses. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you this evening?
Well, I bring good news and bad.
No!
Yeah,
What's the good news?
Yeah. Well, the good news is Le Mans Jean-Pierre is back on the team and prepared and ready if needed.
And what's the bad news?
Bad news is you're going to have to say his name probably 4 times in this episode, in this particular episode, and I'm probably going to double up laughing every time.
You're going to hell for that, by the way.
I know.
The special hell.
To be fair, I'm going to hell for lots of other reasons.
What's the name? Jean-Pierre?
Le Mans Jean-Pierre.
Oh, Jean-Pierre back on the team. He's playing offensive line for the Seahawks.
Is he?
When did that come from?
When's
It's like a
Korea?
French-Japanese hybrid.
It's already starting. Oh my God, you get to hear my French all night. All right. Next is our news hound. You can find his 12th Man editorials on SeahawksSouth.com. He doubles as a cat lover. Okay. He's Shadowhawk Will. Hi, Will.
Good evening, Moses, and I really can't top that one.
Best intro ever. Cat lover. I think I should. You have a cat. You really. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, moving on.
Moving on. Yes. Next from the state of Washington, he doubles as a tailgater extraordinaire. He is Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey guys, just tailing on the animal theme there. Kind of a fun fact. We learned yesterday our big tough guard dog is afraid of balloons.
Isn't everybody?
Oh,
Apparently.
balloons was the devil.
Yeah, they are apparently.
Wow, we are. This has become a zoo. Speaking of zoos, a man that lives just up the road from a zoo, up the road from 49er headquarters, our own man behind enemy lines. He gets charged double when we're in Seahawk gear in his neighborhood. You know him as Orange 76. We know him as Statsman Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hey everybody, this is Mark, behind enemy lines, and I was so positively desperate to see an NFL game live in person that I found myself, at none other than Oco, the Coliseum, to see the Raiders beat the Chiefs last night.
Really?
Wow.
Awesome.
How great was it in person?
You went there on
that
purpose?
celebration.
I did. It's no coincidence that I was comped the ticket for free.
You still paid too much.
And
Hey,
and
what was
and
the reaction? Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, the giveaway that evening didn't pertain to me. These were custom made. These were designer ankle bracelet covers, so I couldn't partake in that.
Nice. Hey, what was the reaction in the stadium while that celebration was going on as the Chiefs were about to snap the ball again? Because that was hilarious, man.
You know what? I'm just now kind of getting over a cold, and I was laughing so hard. I mean, I nearly coughed up a lung. Seriously. That was like the movie Major League meets the NFL.
Oh my God.
I probably watched that 20 times so far. It's hilarious.
Man, I bet getting back to your car was like a scene out of The Walking Dead, right? Like you had to like dodge people and there's a walker, there's a Raider fan, there's a Raider fan.
It was actually, I took Bay Area Rapid Transit, otherwise known as BART. It's kind of like the, and it was just, I don't know, they were just blazing. I nearly lost my sobriety because of all the smoke filling the
air. Nice.
Oh, wow. What a treat. The Chiefs and the Raiders. You lucky guy.
I'm sure it was all medical.
Yeah, a lot of medicinal cards. I gotta say, I got it for all the expense, of jokes, towards the. I mean, they're fans, they do show up and they are loud. I mean, they really do support that team. I got to tip my hat to them in that way.
You're absolutely right. I was thinking that last night. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched bits and pieces. I thought, we do make fun of the Raiders and the fans and all that, but they are there for their team at 0-8 and 0-9 and that is respectable. I got to agree with you. Very much.
Well, the bandwagon emptied years ago, so anybody left cheering for the Raiders has got to be a diehard.
Yeah.
Well, when you consider that they're breaking house arrest by showing up, that's another perk. So.
True.
Woo! Oh, we are off to a heck of a start. The intros have been made. And let's get to it. For those who've listened before, thank you for joining us once again. And for those who are listening for the first time to the show, don't worry. We promise we'll be gentle, but be careful. We are doubling the dosage, so there may be complications. Quarter one, we have news from, of course, Shadowhawk will give us all the NFL news that you need. Quarter two, we're going to talk about last week's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, a 24-20 loss by the Seattle Seahawks. At halftime, we're doing something a little different this episode. We are going to do something called the State of the Seahawks. What we're going to do is each panel member, including myself, will have 3 to 5 minutes to speak editorially about just about anything they want to that is Seahawk related. So you'll hear 5 different editorials just to see what everybody's mind's at as we prepare for the final 6 games of this season. Quarter 3, we'll talk about the Cards game, the upcoming game against the Cardinals. Big game in Seattle Sunday. Hope a lot of people can get to that game, be nice and loud. We will talk about the Cards game the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, we will talk about the 49ers game and Thanksgiving because we will not have a show again until after both of these games. So, we'd like to remind you, before we kick it off with news, to like, share, and please subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity channel, which is where this video is from. You can comment on the video or on the thread that this video belongs to, either on an internet forum or on Facebook. You can also email us at 12manfanjam@gmail.com. So that being said, we'd love to hear from you, especially after editorials. We'd like to know which ones you thought were good, which ones we thought weren't so good. And as we prepare for the beginning of the show, we'd like to kick it off, as we always do, with news. News that's fit to print and fit to speak about on the 12th Man Fan Jam. We always turn the first quarter over to our news hound. I always say that wrong. News hound. To our news hound, Will, the cat lover. Will, what do you got for us this evening? Save me, Will. Save me.
Okay, Moses. Well, it's never a good sign when a young player makes more headlines off the field than he does on the field. Jaguars cornerback Dwayne Gratz learned this the hard way, unfortunately, after last weekend. After being cited for disorderly intoxication and trespassing in Miami, Gratz was released at 6 a.m. on Monday morning after being processed. According to the police report, Gratz was arrested early Sunday morning after trying to pay for items in a store with gum. Now, Gratz has since apologized to his team for the arrest, but denied that he tried to pay for items in store with gum, basically saying, "I'm not that stupid." But he could have been that drunk, so you never know.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I know Matt is in England. Matt, do they use gum as currency in Europe? Is that acceptable?
No, it's do you know what, I can't think of a single time where that would ever be acceptable. Unless, of course, you were like in a school playground and you just like swapped a can of Coke with your best friend and he gave you gum. That's the only reason that would possibly be acceptable.
I feel like that maybe he just watches a lot of TV and he was the first person to try to pay somebody with Trident layers. That's all.
There it is. Mark, ever use gum as currency?
No, but at this point, bubble gum might be stronger than the U.S. dollar. So,
Give it another year or two.
Hey, the kids are here. They love it.
I have done something a bit similar though. Is that I went into a supermarket and got a trolley full of stuff, or a cart full of stuff if you're American. And I went to the checkout bit and I tried to pay with my library card.
Yeah.
I've done that, and that was equally embarrassing. I mean, I must admit, I wasn't arrested for it because I did actually have the funds on me. But that was pretty embarrassing. But to try and pay with chewing gum, that would have been a nightmare. I wonder what the change would have been.
Oh my god!
I don't know. I've tried to pay for
ABC gum.
I've tried to pay for a lot of things with my Safeway Club card. A lot of things, but never takes.
I've seen
Never
people.
takes.
I've seen people get in an argument at Walmart because they wanted to put food on layaway. I've seen that.
Wow.
But I've never seen gum as currency.
The thing is, I can still remember the woman's face behind the checkout because she looked at me like I was just stupid. And I remember, and the thing is, I looked at her as if she was stupid because I've given you a card, you've got to run it through the machine. I put my PIN number in. It's how it works. And there was sort of this sort of minute face-off between me and this rather fat, plump woman who was getting more. Who honestly looked at me as if I was just genuinely stupid. And then she said. And just the most, you know how we have our fire alarms here, and we have the really posh woman who says all of that stuff.
Yes.
She said to me in that almost exact same tone, "It's a library card, sir." and then I wanted to die. Yeah.
You should have just said you were borrowing the food.
I know. I'm just trying to check it out. I'll return it.
Oh my god. Woo. Oh my god, Will. I don't know if you got another one for us to chew on. That was pretty good.
Funny you should phrase it like that.
I just did.
Actually, my next topic is about Brown's former Cardinal, current Brown linebacker Carlos Dansby, who is currently trying to rehab off a sprained MCL and has a interesting method of rehab. Quoting Dansby, "I'm feeding like a vampire drinking blood. I've got to feed it. For a vampire to bounce back, he's got to get his blood, and I've got to keep getting the lobster mash in my body right now. I'm eating a lot, man." So
What?
you heard it here first,
The
guys.
hell?
Lobster and mashed potatoes are the key to rehabbing a sprained knee.
Lobster and mashed potatoes.
I've been a medical professional for
Yes.
over 12 years. This is groundbreaking. I've never heard this before. He should publish that paper if that really works. That's amazing.
Well, it's one of
no
the
idea.
things that Big Pharma is trying to keep hidden, you know.
Yeah.
This is, the English language is my own, and I've never heard blood, vampires, lobsters, and mash used in the same thing. It's like the whole language is just being ripped apart and put back together again. But
You didn't watch enough True Blood.
This is it. This is the damage that the shows like Twilight and True Blood do to the world. Is that suddenly lobsters and vampires can be joined together in such a way? It's just not.
Yeah. What's the connection?
Don't forget about Vampire Diaries. I think it is on the CW. I saw a commercial for that. I saw a commercial for that, and it looked like they were going to have Thanksgiving.
Dustin, I am going to fly over there. I'm going to take you out of that house because you are watching too much television, man. Get out.
I'm trying to figure out the connection between vampires and mashed potatoes. I don't remember seeing any vampire go, "I gotta have my blood. Give me mashed potatoes."
My blood.
What?
You never saw the third Twilight movie, apparently.
Yeah. I
haven't
feel
seen
like if
any
you
of
eat a
them.
Red Lobster and have the garlic mashed potatoes, it offends them off. So
Do they not have the best cheesy biscuits ever on the planet?
oh god, yes.
Oh my god. You can't make those at home. You just can't do it.
Nope. I ate there at lunch yesterday. It was great.
Well, you're a vampire then, apparently.
No, vampire repellent. I had garlic mashed potatoes.
Point.
Mark, are you going to rehab anything by having lobster and mashed potatoes?
Not anytime soon, but it sounds like since he's in Cleveland, they better check him for a staph infection that may have gone up to his brain.
You know what? I'm done. Mark wins tonight. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Mark wins the internet tonight. Woo! All right, Will. I know you've got one more for us to suck on.
Whoa.
Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Like a vampire.
This is actually one I saved from last week because it was just too good to let go.
Ow.
During the Buccaneers-Falcons game 2 weeks ago, Buccaneers tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins scored a touchdown and decided to celebrate in his own unique fashion. Specifically, he placed the ball on the ground, put his leg on it, and posed Captain Morgan style, which promptly got him a 15-yard penalty. What made things worse for the rookie tight end was that he later posted a photo of it on Instagram with the caption, "Everybody has a little captain in them, hashtag it's a Bucks life." He may have thought it was funny. Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach Lovie Smith did not.
What? That's hilarious, though.
Said Smith, "Once it came to my attention, then I confronted him." The photo quickly vanished from Instagram soon after.
Oh,
That is ridiculous. That is hilarious. I love that. That's funny.
That is. Well, that's
No
like
wonder
when,
he got fired in Chicago.
that's like when Baldwin scored last week and he did the arrow. I thought that was hysterical. My son loved that.
Yeah.
My
pretty
son
cool.
celebrates
That
his
was cool.
touchdowns when they play on the playground. When he gets a touchdown, now he does that. He says, "I'm doing what Baldwin did," and he's doing like the arrow thing. He's been doing it all week.
yeah, considering the sort of season they're having at the moment, you think Lovey would have more of a sense of humour, really, wouldn't you? To be fair.
Yeah.
Well, if I had that record, I don't think I'd be laughing at much.
I think that's
Calling
all
all
we'll be doing.
captains.
Calling all captains.
Calling all captains. Captain, my captain.
Oh, do you have a
You
little
got a
captain
little
in you?
15-yard penalty in you.
You got a
I
little
can't remember.
captain in you? Do you want
Honestly-
one?
Can't remember the last time I had a little captain in me.
Wow.
I like the rum though.
Oh, the kids love that one.
Well, the Bucks have been playing like they've been under the influence all year, so.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get them some lobster and mashed potatoes, apparently.
Under the
ASAP.
influence of chloroform.
Maybe aim those cannons on the boat at the end zone just a little lower. That might be a good idea.
No word, though, Moses, on whether Austin Seferian-Jenkins tried to pay his fine in gum.
And it all comes around.
Nice.
Love it. It all
Beautiful.
comes around. Oh my gosh. Well, that might be the best news segment we've ever had.
Until
Seriously.
next week.
Until next week, yes. Thank you so much.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
That is the end of the first quarter. It was a crazy first quarter. It's just an indication of what this show is going to be like for this week. Our double shot special edition of 12th Man Fan Jam. We will come back. We will have to talk next quarter about the Kansas City Chief game. Some good and some bad. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. We will be right back after this quick station identification.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Well, I hear all that. What is an internet?
And now it's time for the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to take you through the second quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you again, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam. This is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity with the 12th Man Fan Jam posse ready for the second quarter of this special double shot edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam show. And here we go, talking about the Kansas City Chief game last week. Of course, the Seahawks came up short 24-20 in Kansas City, something that they have done many times. I think they've only won 5 times in the last 26 games there. But we do want to talk about the game a little bit. Let's first talk about some things that we need to work on. Mark, what are some things that the Seahawks, you were a little disappointed in, that the Seahawks definitely need to work on?
Well, right away, I knew it could be a long day because Bill Levy's crew was officiating this game.
Oh Lord!
And sure enough, I just read today. Excuse me, that it turns out the NFL did in fact offer an apology because we all knew it anyway, but it was pass interference on Baldwin on that 4th down and goal play, and well, there you have it for Bill Levy.
Yeah, I don't like any referee that has to make a habit of apologizing to us. That just annoys the hell out of me.
Which he seems to do
So
a
much.
lot. Yeah, he seems to do that a lot.
Something else that bugged the hell out of me about that whole thing. Sorry for kind of taking over, but all the analysts afterwards, even the wide receivers like Chris Carter, who's just waiting to bag on the Seahawks receivers, were saying, "Oh yeah, that's incidental contact." Like, what sport are you watching where that's incidental contact? Because the way I understand how that works is, say it's a fly route, ball's in the air, both players have their heads turned towards the ball, their legs get tangled up, they fall down, incidental contact. If you're in the end zone and you're running your route and the defender bumps you off the route by pushing you with his forearm and extending his arm, that's not incidental contact, that's pass interference. I don't understand why that's been ignored so much. It annoyed the hell out of me to hear everybody defend that call.
Especially in a year that supposedly they're going to be tougher on those kinds of calls, the contact and all that.
And one other bad from this game, we won the turnover battle. We had none; they had 2. And lastly, I will throw this in: time of possession: Seattle 35 minutes 57 seconds, Kansas City 24 minutes 3 seconds, and we still come out in the wrong end. Wow.
That's why he's the stats man right there. No doubt about that. Will, what else are some things that are some concerns coming out of Kansas City? And if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit, you were actually at the game, freezing your arse off, as you said you would.
Well, let me just say, that was the one prediction I got right last week. Single-digit wind chill, but it was fun. It was a fun experience. Chief fans were, for the most part, very gracious, except for the drunken dickhead in the row in front of me, but he left at halftime. So that's actually a good thing. But yeah, great setup. Fans there got really loud on a couple of occasions, but on a consistency basis, Seattle is louder. So
good.
Just had to throw that in there.
Yes.
As far as things we need to work on, the thing that bugged me the most was just the tackling. You know, just watching Jamal Charles run through this guy and that guy and this guy. It's like, one of the things I really enjoyed about this team last year on the Super Bowl run, and also in 2012 really, was just the tackling was so much improved over what we had seen historically. And this team has just regressed so much when it comes to tackling. They're missing way too many. They're going for the hit instead of wrapping up. And it's the little things like that that are killing us. That's why we've lost 3 games by less than 7 points.
Great.
It's just little things like that.
Yeah. Too much lunging. If you're going to tackle, bring your feet with you and drive back. You're not just tackling and falling to the ground. Bring your feet with you, wrap up. I know it's cold, and you could tell it was cold out there, but wrapping up isn't going to change that, and it's not going to hurt anything.
And they're not wrapping up.
Yeah, the guy might not get away, which is great for us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's highly frustrating.
And if Ricardo Lockett really wants to punch somebody and get ejected, let him out. Okay, if you're going to get ejected, make it worth your while.
No doubt.
Goodness.
Or better yet, don't do it at all.
Matt, what are your thoughts about the game, of things that you were maybe disappointed or want to work on?
I was going to say the Lockett thing, the discipline of this team to have 2 players ejected in a season. Okay, one of them was in pre-season, Harold Simon, which is just still makes me sit here and my jaw hits the desk that somebody wanted to get thrown out in a preseason game. But anyway,
you and Harold Simon are tight on Twitter, are you not?
That we chat, you know, we chat, we have little conversations about things. You know, I give him some life coaching sessions. That's what I'm trying to give him. I'm trying to make him a better person.
We appreciate that.
Am I the only one that thought that Matt just sounded like Stewie right there?
He does.
I can only sound like Stewie.
Shut up, fat man. I am trying to make him a better person, just hopefully on another team. But the the thing is that with Lockett, and I understand that he was frustrated because I understand that the whole thing was messed up again by the refs who got who called a wrong, he was out of bounds, all this sort of stuff going on, and I understand the frustration, but you have to be a professional sportsman. Okay, you have to suddenly get into your mind that you're not playing some sort of gang rules football in the middle of downtown LA where you can punch the crap out of each other. It's not the game of football. It's let's face it, we've got incidental contact now can get you 15 yards for heaven's sake. So you certainly can't punch him in the face. That's definitely not allowed. But he still does it. And what annoyed me a little bit was his reaction, because I was expecting, as you would normally do on his Twitter account, something to say to the fans. I'm really sorry about that. I'll learn from it. I'll grow up. I'm really sorry about that. Nothing. Not a thing.
Yeah.
$10,000 fine and off you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty disappointing because he's been in the league for a few years now, and he knows better. I mean, it's one thing with the Thurl Simon thing where he's a rookie. It's his first game. He was used to owning towns. He didn't own that one, and he got kicked out for that. Ricardo Lockett, completely different story. He knows better. He's been coached better, and you cannot have that happen, especially to one of our top special teams players.
Yeah.
I think the other thing. Sorry, Moses.
No,
the
please,
other thing I was going to say is the catching the ball. We've got to. I don't know why, but suddenly dropping the ball seems to be a thing. That needs to be sort of cleared up. I think that cursed catch. I think if Kurt had made that catch, we would have won that game. To be frankly honest, but it didn't happen. So it didn't happen. So we move on. The tackling I was going to go on, but the run, I think it was the most frustrating. How many times did they punt in that game? Twice, and then the second half only.
Fourth quarter only.
Fourth quarter only. Got to get them off that field at third down. Got to get them off that field. And so again, back to the tackling, back to the defensive front line again. All that run. I mean, what a fantastic! What the hell is it, bloke's name? Amazing runner though.
Jamal
Charles, incredible.
He's amazing
athlete. He is an incredible athlete. He's a bit like Beast Mode to watch in that way, and it was like watching a sort of another Beast Mode do it. But yeah, so I was pleased with some aspects of the game there. I was pleased with the second half again. I was pleased with Russell Wilson's running around and all that good stuff, but it wasn't enough on this occasion. 9 attempts. I think we had 9 opportunities to win that game, and we took none of them.
Yeah, I agree. A couple things I want to bring up before we go positive. And I hate to do this because I armchair quarterbacking, and we're all just a bunch of fans. None of us on this show are experts.
What do we know?
Yeah, right, exactly. We're just a bunch of schleps that put on a YouTube show. We're not experts by any means, but I'm still trying to figure out why the Seahawks were number 1 in the NFL in running, and they get down first and goal at the 5, and they run 3 straight pass plays. That really frustrated me that they did, and that was the first touchdown, and we did score. But even you're talking about this bad call against Baldwin. It's 4th down, and you're throwing a fly pattern to a receiver that's not exactly tall. I don't understand the plays.
It was a fade. It was a fade, back corner fade against Doug Baldwin's 5'10" against a 6'3" defensive back.
Right.
And to avoid the pick play, they went over under with the corners. And so when Baldwin jetted out there, he was against somebody way taller than him. You're on the 1 yard line. You have Marshawn Lynch. Use him. Use him.
And that brings me to this. It was okay. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I went on record saying I didn't agree with this call either. When you're down by 4 with 3.5 minutes to go and all your timeouts, and you're close enough to kick a gimme field goal, I know how Mark feels about this. So I know we're gonna have a little bit of a debate here. I kick the field goal. I go down by 1, and then if they score, I'm still a score away. I feel like that was a bad move. I don't know. I know how Mark feels. Dustin, do you feel like they should have gone for it in that situation or kicked the field goal?
Honestly, man, I could see it both sides.
I can too.
At the time, I wanted them to go for it, but not in the way they did. So it's kind of, having your cake and eating it too type thing. Like, I can see the logic of going for it. I mean, of kicking the field goal and trying to, hold them and go again. But the defense at the time, they haven't done anything really that game to make you think, okay, yeah, they're going to do something to get the ball back or stop these guys. So I can see why they would go for it. It's just they get too cute in the red zone. I think they had 5 opportunities in the red zone and scored twice. That's the kind of the big elephant in the room, I think, for the ugly that we didn't bring up was the red zone offense.
Yes.
But do what you're good at. Let Marshawn run. Go for it, but be better about your play selection.
Exactly.
That's how I felt.
And Mark, wouldn't you at least, and this is another thing, even if you decide to go for it, and I can kind of understand that, they didn't even have, it was a one-back set. They weren't even trying to fake stuffing it up the middle. I don't understand, Mark.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last time I saw play calling that bad in the red zone, I was watching a 49ers game.
Oh!
Yikes.
Well said.
Anyway,
Ouch.
I like Dustin mentioned, I agreed with the decision to go for it. I did not like the play call. It turned out what happened in terms of we went for it, we didn't get it. Casey ran it 3 times. I guess that was one of the few punts they had. And we did get the ball back. Of course, we're still down by 4. I mean, we needed a touchdown. But if we kick the field goal, a couple things. One, Casey was moving the ball overall pretty well in between the 20s. And secondly, our special teams, our kickoff coverage had given up, I think, a few returns. I didn't see our defense, stopping them. And that's why I like the decision and go by the old adage, you go for the win on the road and the tie at home or thereabout. Okay. So that's where I was at.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, Will, can we get let's end on a positive note. What are some things that you saw that you were encouraged about?
Well, one of the things I saw that surprised me, considering how well Jamal Charles was running, was the fact that Seattle actually outgained Kansas City on the ground between Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson and a couple runs here and there by other people. But I was really impressed with the way we were running the ball all game. And I think it's just a good sign. It's further proof that this offense really has gotten back to what has worked for it in the past, namely using the run to set up the play action pass. And there's obviously some work still to be done in the passing game, but we're not trying to force the ball to anybody anymore. We're just letting Marshawn be Marshawn, and it is making things better for us.
Agreed, Matt. What do you got?
I liked halftime. I liked the end of the game because it was over and I could get a bit. No, I mean, look, there are positives going on there. I think Russell Wilson, yes, he's having some issues as far as connecting with receivers is concerned. I get that. I also think that some of that's down to the play calling that's been given to him as well, because I think there is some issues there. And I'm not going to sit here and blame the refs for the loss of this game. Although they did have an effect. I think it's just we have it. We're within a score of winning. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we're blown out. It's not like we're so far away from these games that they're beyond us. In actual fact, if any of the games that we've lost had gone, one play had gone either way, that we'd be sitting here with a lot of different numbers, and we'd be sitting here with a lot of different press reports and a lot of different, players and people saying stuff about our team. At the moment, we're sort of in that really difficult, close rah battle sort of fights that we seem to unfortunately be coming on the wrong side of. But we are only within scores, so it's not beyond us.
I agree. Dustin, positive?
Positive, Luke Wilson caught the ball this week.
He did a nice job of it, too.
Yeah. He's been struggling a little bit lately, but this week he was targeted 3 times, caught 3 balls, had over 50 yards. He was looking better.
Yes.
And with the way the tight end position is going right now and the losses we've had, that's a huge thing. So I'm glad that he's coming along, and hopefully it continues next week. That's a big positive for me.
I totally agree. I thought he had a great game.
Moses, could I jump in with a quick story there?
Yeah.
We're talking about tight ends. In the third quarter, I had a pretty good banter going with a Chiefs fan in the row in front of me, and he was laughing it up, loving life. Well, we get that turnover and drive down and throw the touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone to Tony Moiaki, who, of course, used to be a Chief.
Right.
Yep.
And my dad and I are going nuts because, hey, we're playing better. Yay. And the guy just looks over at me with this look of loathing on his face. It's like, go home. So we didn't get the last laugh, but we got a couple.
Dang.
Nice.
Harshness from Kansas City. Mark, what are some positives that you had from this game?
Well, Arrowhead's a very tough place,
Yeah.
to play. And I mean, there was a lot of good things in the box score. I mean, again, it's bittersweet because we had a total of 71 offensive plays to Kansas City's 46.
God.
Wow.
I mean, I know it hurts to hear, but I mean, if I would have looked at this box score, I would have thought we won. But the bottom line, I continue to be impressed with Marshawn Lynch, despite everything that may or may not be going on behind the scenes. This guy literally will carry 3 opponents on his back for an extra 3 yards. There's no quit. There was that story about halftime and him not going off the field. It hasn't really picked up a lot of steam. I don't know, but the guy on the field and his effort just cannot be questioned ever.
I agree. I honestly, after the end, I thought, there's no way that this was a 4-point game, but yet there it was. Still, this team never quits. The Seahawk team, you would have thought watching the game, if they didn't have the score up in the corner, my God, it's a 30-point game, but it wasn't. They don't give up. They keep scrapping. They keep fighting. Half their teams on, in IR, they don't care. They keep fighting and scrapping. And in Kansas City, where they never win, I was just really, really happy and proud to be a Seahawk fan after that game from the standpoint that they just didn't quit. And there was no shame losing to a Kansas City team in Kansas City, especially one that is, at this point, 8-3? Or 7-3 now, I guess. Well, I guess
7-4.
7-4 after last Thursday night. Yeah, but a team that's very, and hats off to them. They made the plays when they had to. There are not a lot of popular names on that Kansas City team, but they do make the plays when they had to, and they definitely earned that victory, in my opinion. But I think the Seahawks gave them everything they could, and I was proud to be a Seahawk fan after that game. Absolutely.
Holy shit, it's halftime!
That is the end of the second quarter. We're going to go to halftime, do our State of the Seahawks editorial, something we've never done. Everyone on the panel is going to get a chance to speak their mind and have an editorial at halftime. So we're going to take a quick station identification. We're going to prepare our speeches, and we'll be right back after this.
Hey, this is Matt, all the way from merry old England, and you're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
Yes, welcome to a very special halftime of this double shot edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam show. This is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church Seahawk Positivity, and we're doing something a little different at halftime this week. We are going to let every panelist have their time to speak their piece about the state of your Seattle Seahawks. So we're going to start this off with Dustin. Yes,
All right.
Dustin. What do you got for us this evening?
All right. So I just want to preface this by saying I don't normally prepare things. It's a little bit different for me. I'm a little out of my element. So, don't judge too harsh. I usually like to wing things. But here we go. All right. So win forever. Always compete. Next man up. We're all we got. We all we need. These are phrases we've come to know very well over the last few years. Based on what we've seen this season, I think we can add one more catchphrase to the list. That's too much, too soon. What I mean by that, too many roster changes too fast. Not only that, but too many key players. Clemens, Bryant, Breno, McDonald, Tate, Robinson, all gone. And that was before a single snap was played this year. Robinson was going to retire. I don't think there was much that could be done about that. He was ready to move on. But then you let Golden Tate walk because of players you drafted and the promise of Percy Harvin's contributions and the general financial situation of the team. Fast forward to now, and the rookies haven't contributed much, and Harvin is gone, leaving the need for a playmaker in the receiving core a glaring one. A lot of leadership was lost when Red Bryant and Michael Robinson left. That's not a small thing in an NFL locker room. And if too many leaders or mentors leave, it can certainly have a negative impact on the team chemistry. And I think we're seeing that right now, in all honesty. Then we look at the guys that have been placed on the injured reserve, and it's a long list. You got Zach Miller, Brandon Ebane, Schilling, Scruggs, Coleman, Marsh, Anthony McCoy, Jesse Williams. You kind of put a couple of asterisks by a couple of guys. Jeremy Lane, IR, missed a lot of the season, designated to return, he's back now. Jean-Pierre originally was supposed to go to the IR. He's back now this week. Completely different situation, but he missed most of the year. Then you take that and you combine it with the players that have missed games, like Wagner, Cam, Unger, Smith, etc. And I just think that the roster moves the team chose to make, accompanied with the moves the team was forced to make, and then the short-term tweaks that the team has had to make just to get by from game to game, have been too much for the team to endure in such a short period of time. That's a lot of things that have been happening, and I know they're trying. I know they're trying to get it done. I know they're working things and tweaking things, but anytime you have that much change, it will have a negative and obvious effect on continuity, on familiarity, team chemistry, a lot of things that show up on the field. Now, that being said, do I think moving forward that the Hawks can catch some magic and make a playoff run? Possibly culminating with the second Super Bowl victory in as many years? I really do. I think that. And it's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be ideal by any means. It's not going to be last year's playoff run where we're hosting and everybody's got to come to Seattle to win and deal with the team and the 12th man. And there was, a big party atmosphere that we felt last year. There's going to be road games if they make the playoffs. There's going to be adversity. And there's going to have to be some more unsung heroes that step up and make plays. Guys that we're not talking about now. Guys that we're not thinking about now. Those are the guys that are going to have to step up. But I believe it can be done. And mostly it's because of something that was instilled last year and something that I do believe in and something that it's hard not to believe in when you know this team and you know the players on it and you understand their heart and their drive and what they want to do. And I think that all you have to say is if the Seahawks want to do this and they go out there and they want to win a championship, all you have to think about, why not us?
All right. Well done, Dustin. Next, we have our man behind enemy lines, Mark.
Behind enemy lines.
Mark,
Hey,
what do you have for us this evening?
hey everybody. Well, here we are. At the 10 game point. For me, for a while now, I've been focusing on, and it's about that time to look at the playoff picture, which Dustin touched on a bit, and I've maintained now for a while that the current state of the Seahawks, for them to be on the outside looking in to being in the playoff picture, we need to get to 10 wins at a minimum. I'm not even sure at this point if 10 will work. I'm just going to go on the premise that it will. And if you do the math, we need to go 4-2 in our last 6 games, which include 2 against the Cardinals, 2 against the 49ers, 1 against the Rams, and 1 against the Eagles, which is in Philly. We have 3 home games, 3 away games. We have to win out at home. We have to win a minimum of 1 on the road, and it can be done. But based on the way the season has gone so far, this is, it's going to be difficult. This team is very capable of doing it. There's been a couple of games this year that a year ago we would have won. This year they've gone the other way. To this point, I would say the game that I've circled on our schedule that was a key loss, one that I think we really should have had, although this team has been playing very scrappy and determined, is the one in St. Louis. That game is still, I think, haunts us a bit. The way it stands right now, there's 4 teams that we're looking at, and that is Dallas and Philadelphia in the East, and then Detroit and Green Bay in the North. And right now, present day, there are a couple teams that Seattle would like to see win those divisions. And what we would like to see is Detroit win the North and Dallas win the East. And that's because if Green Bay finishes as a wild card and we manage to tie with Green Bay, we beat them in a head-to-head tiebreaker. Likewise, if we can beat Philly later on this season and we tie with Philadelphia, provided they're a wild card team, we would beat them out. Now, there's lots of other things that are probably going to make their way and figure into the equation. But, I think the bottom line for me is that we need to get to 10 wins. We have the toughest remaining 6-game schedule in the league, is what I believe I saw on ESPN. And that's why ultimately I'm, as much as we all dread this phrase, and I know we all dread it, I really think this game against the Cards is a must-win game. And I know it sounds really dramatic. There's a lot of football left. But I think if we drop to 6-5, based on my premise, that would mean going 4-1 the rest of the way. We desperately, desperately need to beat the Cardinals this week to keep our season extended and then just go from there. This team is capable of it. No matter what the result's been, win or lose, this team fights hard all the time. I've never seen this team quit. But we desperately need this game this week to get up to 7-4. The rest of the games will fall where they may, but we really badly need this win, and I think we're capable of doing it. And in the immortal words of Matt Hasselbeck, now I'm done.
Thank you, Mark. Now it's time for Only the Shadowhawk Knows.
Who knows? The shadow knows.
Yes, Will. Will, what do you have for us this evening?
Well, when we made our blockbuster trade for Percy Harvin last year, I don't think a lot of people realized that we only have him for 8 games total as a Seahawk. Now, credit where credit is due. A large part of the reason why we blew out Denver in the Super Bowl was because we had a player of Harvin's talent on our roster, and the Broncos had absolutely no film on him. Now, I think we win that game without Percy Harvin, but I think a big reason why we won it by such a large margin is because of Harvin and what he brought to the table, both on offense and on special teams. And I think all of us were looking forward to what Harvin could do on our offense when this season started. And yet, it never really happened. As the season went on, it seemed like bringing Harvin into our offense is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And then the news came that he was traded to the New York Jets. And, of course, all the news broke afterwards about what he had done in the locker room, how he body slammed Golden Tate the night before the Super Bowl, how he'd punched Doug Baldwin before the last preseason game. And it became obvious that getting rid of Harvin was something that this team needed to do. And kudos to Pete Carroll and John Schneider for realizing they had no choice but to cut ties. That's one thing that this duo has done very well, is know when to quit. We saw it their very first year when they brought in Lendale White and then cut him a month later when he was dogging it in practice, skipping meetings, whatnot. But still, you look at what we paid out for Harvin. A first and a 7th round pick in the 2013 draft. A 3rd round pick in this year's draft. $60 million. You just look at all the money, all the draft capital we spent. You know, we haven't had a 1st round draft pick since Bruce Irvin, and that was 2012. Obviously, we gave up our 1st round pick last year. But with the 3rd round pick this year, maybe we don't have to trade down. Or maybe we don't have to trade down as far to get a decent number of draft picks. But we'll never know, because we missed out on a 1st round pick in 2013 and one in this year. And Dustin touched on this earlier, but you look at the players that we let go largely because of the money that was being paid out to Percy Harvin and the cap room that we didn't have because we offered Percy that huge contract. It'd be nice to have Clinton McDonald back when you look at our lack of pass rush, especially our lack of an inside pass rush. And even though I've never been his biggest fan, having Golden Tate back certainly wouldn't hurt. But they made the move to go after Harvin, and it's understandable. You look at a player of his caliber, of his undeniable talent level, and you would think, hey, this could give our offense a whole new dimension. And Pete Carroll, especially, has worked with difficult players before, so you can understand why he'd want to work with Harvin. But all we got out of him was 8 games. And what we spent on him was just way out of proportion to what we got, even if he did help us win our first Super Bowl. So we're still going to be paying for that decision all this year. And it has hurt us, and there's nothing to do but move on. I'm glad that Harvin's no longer on this team. I'm glad he's no longer a distraction. I'm glad he didn't seriously hurt anybody when he was here. But there's no denying that when you look at all the draft choices paid out, all the money paid out, and what we got for it, that this trade really was a disaster.
Okay, thank you, Will. And now we go across the pond to merry old England and see what's bugging Matt.
Hey, Matthew. Hey, Matthew.
Why you bugging?
Hey, Matt. Why you bugging?
Hello, Moses. Okay. So last year, it seemed that the Seahawks could do no wrong. A hot unit of men prepared to throw themselves body and soul at the one single shared goal that everyone wanted, the first Super Bowl win. And we all know how that turned out. For this year, is that still the aim of the players in this team? Because it seems to me that if we believe the press and the media, more and more of our players have distractions. They're playing to win are they playing to win a Super Bowl or to guarantee themselves a job next year or beyond? Whether it's Lynch's ongoing anger with the front office or Harvin's temper tantrums before his surprise exit to New York, the media would have us fans believe that all is not well in the Seahawks locker room. And this has a part to play in why we are not performing as expected. So is this the reason for our less than stellar season thus far? Hold on, rewind. First of all, let us remember that we're talking about the press, storytellers, myth merchants, and wannabe hacks. Not necessarily good enough to write a novel or win a Pulitzer Prize, but just about good enough to write some throwaway lines about Seahawk players based upon a tip-off from the now ever-present and ever-forthcoming with information anonymous source close to the team. The point of the press is to maintain fans' interest in this game. Hype it, get it trending, go beyond the results and get the real interesting stuff, the nitty-gritty. And the NFL takes this sort of stuff really, really seriously. Apparently far more seriously than investigating domestic abuse claims properly. So important, in fact, that the NFL will, of course, find players who won't talk to the media. Looking at you here, Marshawn. But here's the rub. Does it matter if what they say isn't actually true? Sadly, no, not really. You see, once the seed has been sown, the journalist can walk away safe in the knowledge that he has his ace card up his sleeve. The fact is that he got his story from the anonymous, invisible, all-knowing source who happens to be close to the team. That source is known only to him, nobody else, and he's not going to reveal his source, obviously. So it doesn't matter if it's not true. Nobody can prove it either way. Let's take a story. Let's take one of our stories. Let's take the probably for me the most damaging story of all, which was the Russell Wilson story about not being black enough. It was reported originally by Mike Freeman of Bleacher Report on the 22nd of October. The important thing here to remember is that Freeman was actually writing an article about wide receivers not respecting quarterbacks. There was the whole Harvin controversy going on at this point. And there were clearly some very proven issues that Harvin did indeed not get on necessarily with the quarterback or anyone else for that matter. But what Freeman did was that he wanted to link this story with another story, an older story, a 2005 Eagles incident between Terrell Owens and Donovan McNabb, as a way of demonstrating what this sort of situation was all about. And Freeman goes through the whole scenario, drawing comparisons between that story and this story and why he's right about what he thinks. What he says is this, and I quote, "There is also an element of race that needs to be discussed. My feeling on this, and it's backed up by several interviews with Seahawks players, is that some of the black players think Wilson isn't black enough. This, again, was similar to the situation with McNabb, and this, again, will be denied by Seattle people, but there is an element of this. The important point there is that the word element was in italics to show that it was only an element, and it was in his own feeling on the issue. So that goes viral, okay? So he uses a story which goes absolutely across the whole of the United States of America and goes viral, that not that his feeling was that there is an issue in a locker room, that there's an element potentially of racial issues, but there is, and it's team-wide, and it's all against Russell Wilson, and they're all at it. That's what happens. That's the power of a story. And of course, all the interviews that he took from those players were anonymous. We don't know who any of them were. We don't know what context any of those stories were given in, if they were given at all. After all, what he'd got was the words from the player, and his feeling was that there was an issue. So what happens? Well, player after player has to come out to strenuously deny these allegations. Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas. But still, there is this spectre of an anonymous player somewhere in that locker room who apparently has got Freeman on speed dial. That breeds mistrust. It breeds discontent, and it breeds a lack of faith in your own teammates. Now that is absolutely seriously dangerous to a team, especially a team who are trying to defend their Super Bowl championship. So after they've denied that after time and time again, and the star receiver has been kicked out due to basic behavioural problems at a time when injuries were really starting to bite on the first stringers, at a time when Russell Wilson was actually having not so fantastic numbers in the passing game and starting to show a few niggles, I suppose. Wilson obviously brushed off these claims. You're not telling me that didn't play on the kid's mind and have further effects on his gameplay. Think of what it would do to you if you were told that some of your workmates thought badly of you. How does that change the dynamic? Do you try making riskier throws to prove yourself? Do you isolate yourself to try and make sense of it all, and maybe to protect yourself from those people who you think may actually be the ones with all the stories going out to the press? After all, apparently somewhere in your locker room is an anonymous source close to the team who has Mike Freeman on speed dial. Now, I'm not saying that this alone has caused the ups and downs of this season, not at all, but it has a dilapidating effect on the team and its morale, and that shows through in the game too sometimes. The Seahawks season has actually been pretty good in my opinion. We're always within the last minute score to etch out a win. One call here, one play there, and we'd be looking at some really quite different numbers. But the expectation of the fan base is pretty high. Living up to your first Super Bowl winning season was always going to be tricky. Let's not fool ourselves. Will we make the playoffs? To be honest, I have absolutely no idea. Can we make the playoffs? Sure, mathematically it's still possible. All any of us can ask our team is to just play your best. Leave everything you have on the field. Can't ask for more than that. My humble and completely novice advice to the team: close all the doors, ask St. Paul Allen to pay all the fines from the NFL, shut the media in the car park, and just do post-game and pre-game interviews. Everything else is just distraction and noise. I mean, it's not going to happen, but it's worth a try. For the fans, my advice is easier still. Don't believe everything you read in the press. It's mostly myth, mischief-making, looking to be the next big story for an almost unknown journalist. Although, an anonymous source close to the Cowboys told me just the other day that Jerry Jones is thinking of moving the Dallas Cowboys to London permanently next year. Apparently Soho has better glory holes than downtown Galveston.
Well said, well said. Now it's time for our final editorial at halftime. It's time for Deep Thoughts with Moses.
And now, Deep Thoughts by
Moses. And you know they're going to be deep. All right, let's talk about movies for a second. Sequels are never as good as the original. Let's face it, even Godfather 2. You know, Rambo wasn't near as great as First Blood, and come on, Caddyshack 2, please. Sequels often are made in the movie business because the original is really great or really lucrative, although nobody has ever been able to explain to me why there's been a sequel to that terrible remake of Carrie. But anyway, the problem is this: no matter how good the sequel might be, they're always compared to the original, sometimes unfairly. Not as good as the original, we'll say about most sequels. Last season for the Seahawks was historically original. In the last 48 Super Bowl seasons, only 4 teams, including last year's Seahawk team, won at least 13 regular season games and won the Super Bowl by more than 20 points. And not only did they do that, They did it facing a record-breaking offense. Absolutely mind-blowing. That is what movie terms would be a blockbuster of a season. So this year's the sequel to that once-in-a-lifetime experience, and in many ways, the sequel hasn't lived up to the lofty expectations placed on it by the original. I liken our 2 seasons to Superman. Yes, Superman, not the new Men of Steel crap. I'm talking about the real Superman movies of the late 70s, early 80s, when Christopher Reeve could walk and Margot Kidder was sane and had big knockers. You remember that?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the original Superman. Yeah, there it is. The original Superman was a huge hit. It was unprecedented. It was unexpected. It came in the movie world and took it by storm, just like the Seahawks last year. And Superman 2 has its own merits, even though we never get that coveted boob shot of Margot Kidder after she sleeps with Superman. But the comparison here isn't the movies. It's the character of the Man of Steel, Superman himself. Think about it. In the first one, Superman was new to the scene and could do no wrong. He steamrolled over everything, just like the Seahawks did last year. There wasn't a time in that movie you didn't think Superman was in charge. Even in the pool with kryptonite around his neck, you knew Valerie Perrine was going to jump in and save him. No doubt about it, it was going to happen. So it was last year with the Seahawks. They were in charge. Even falling behind 20-3 at halftime in Houston, you knew the game wasn't over. Our Valerie Perrine that day was Richard Sherman returning an interception for a game-tying score. Smaller breast, but you get the idea. Now we're on to Superman 2. The competition for our hero is bigger. It's badder. More foes. They have the same powers. Our hero's outmatched in many ways and struggles with this newfound lack of domination. This is very much the Seahawks of this year, who are getting the very best from all teams because the crown that lays upon their heads. But perhaps the most telling comparison is this. In the middle of Superman 2, Superman loses all of his powers and becomes just another human. In doing so, he has a hard time adjusting. He gets hit. He's shocked to find he bleeds. He has to hitchhike across the land because he can't fly anymore. He becomes the same as everyone else. Think about it. The Seahawks have fallen back to the pack this season and lost some of their power due to injury and other issues like free agency and being a jerk like Harbin. They become like every other team in the NFC that has had a chance to make the playoffs. No more rolling over people. The competition's tougher. They themselves are finding it harder adjusting to the fact that they are no longer invincible. They have to earn their way like everyone else, just like Superman had to halfway through Superman 2. But the good news is this, folks. There was a happy ending to Superman 2. In time, near the end of the movie, Superman heals. He returns to full power, and when he does, he surprises those that try to prey on his sudden return to from the ordinary. His enemies find out too late that he is still Superman and still a force to be reckoned with. So it may be with this very team. As the Seahawks heal, and by the way, 10 of 11 starters are starting Sunday, they will return to full power. Others might take them for granted, just another team, when in reality, when the starters return, this team is still very much Superman-like. Just when other teams may think the Seahawks are just mortal, they may become superhuman again and tear up the NFL. Don't sleep on these Seahawks. They're healing. They're fighting hard, and soon, before you know it, despite all the losses of personnel and power, they'll rise again to the top of the NFL world. Near the end of Superman 2, our Man of Steel comes to the White House. He places the American flag on the roof, and he says the following.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Sorry I've been away so long. I won't let you down again.
No, he won't let you down, and they won't let you down, Seahawk Nation. They'll soon be flying high once again. And when they do, you just might get another happy ending. So the NFL better look out, folks, because you better not pull on this Superman's cape, and you don't mess around with the defending Super Bowl champions. That's our editorials. That's halftime. We'll take a quick station identification. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Mosette, Moses' daughter, and when he's not telling me to clean my room, he's on the 12-man fan jam.
Mosette, come here.
Call me Dad. Holy shit. It's the third quarter, bitches.
Yes. Thank you. Once again, we're back to the third quarter of the 12-man Fan Jam, a special double dose Cardinals 49ers in the second half. Starting the third quarter, we're going to talk about this Sunday's big matchup in Seattle with the Arizona Cardinals. And we're going to start with Matt. Matt, what do you think is a key to a Seahawk victory against the Cardinals?
I think it's if we, I think we need to put a new center in. What's the new center's name, Moses? I can't remember.
You mean Jean-Pierre?
Jean-Pierre, yeah, that's
Jean-Pierre.
He
will hike the ball to the Wilson.
Yeah, the French North Korean. Yeah.
Le skunk. Le pew.
Le pew.
No,
you know what? If I ever go to Europe, I'm gonna say right now, I'm not even gonna fight it. I'm gonna wear a big USA shirt and a big hat that says USA #1. I'm gonna be real loud. Woo! USA! USA! That's gonna be me.
You don't need to do any of that.
He needs to do all that, but in the background, he needs to be playing Toby Keith. Because that really was
Put a boot in your ass. It's the American way.
Good Lord. Trust me, no European would mistake that you weren't American before you opened your mouth, mate. You got America written all over you. It's not a problem.
Oh, Lord.
America. Key to the game on this one for me is our offensive line. I think we've got to create a pocket because their defense is pretty damn good. So we got to do a better job of protecting Russell Wilson. Give him some time. Yes, there'll be some running plays, of course, and that'll expect that an awful lot. But there will be some times he's going to need to make some throws, and he's going to need to be given proper time to do that. So I think that's my.
All right, pocket presence, very nice. Will, what do you think's the key to this game?
Well, Moses, I heard something interesting from John Clayton the other day. Drew Stanton, Cardinals quarterback, throws to the right side of the field over 89% of the time.
Okay, interesting.
And the right side of the field is manned by Richard Sherman. So he's either going to be throwing at Sherman or throwing away from his comfort zone.
Yeah.
And either way, that's going to give us opportunities, and we need to get some turnovers. Those two fumbles last week were key to keeping us in the game since we couldn't force a punt until the fourth quarter. We're going to need some more turnovers in this game. We're going to need a couple of short fields, and we need to capitalize on them.
Yeah.
And not just field goals, but with touchdowns.
Agree.
Now, that's interesting to me. Is he a lefty? I don't recall. Is he a lefty or no?
No, he's a right-handed quarterback. Yeah. He just throws to the right almost all the time.
That takes a lot longer. You got to open your hips up to do that. That's interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, Dustin, why don't you go ahead with the key?
It's kind of similar to that. I just think that we need to make Drew Stanton uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. He's got to be forced to do things he's not comfortable with, move around maybe more than he wants to, get more pressure on him than he's used to. And the reason I say that is because their defense this year, phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Their defense is amazing. However, if your offense doesn't score points, their defense isn't as big of a factor. The game will be close. Mm-hmm. So that's my big key. Make him uncomfortable.
Good deal, Mark. What do you got?
You know, I when Will was explaining the stat of by John Clayton on throwing to the right side of the field, I got this image of the gridiron, and there's like 89 pin marks on the right side of the field and only like 6 on the other. And yeah, I can see Dan Quinn. It's like, you know, Pete, it seems like he likes to throw in this general area over here.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of like from, what was the movie Tommy Boy when he got hit in the face with the board and had a big red mark, and he said, "You're not so much here. I don't have pain here. I don't have pain here. I have so much right here," where he points this big red splotch on his face.
Yep.
Yeah, and the waitress that nearly steals the show in that scene. You know what? What comes to mind for me about this game, one, I already touched on the fact I do honestly believe, again, we have to win this game to keep the momentum going. And the other thing is that it's been a long, long time, it feels like anyway, since we've seen a full game where, you know, we have our home mojo, if you will, back from start to finish. We've had halves or quarters at the Clink that look and feel really good, and they look impressive. But, really a complete A to Z old school home field advantage game. To date, really the most complete whipping, or whooping that we put on anybody was game 1 when we played Green Bay. And, I'm hoping that we just get momentum, get positive things going early against Arizona. Arizona is a team that's used to being in control. They have been all season long. They're very scrappy and determined. They have a great head coach that really has them all on the same page. And the thing is to get them out of their comfort zone. But chief among the ways that you do that is psychologically throw them off a little bit, because they're used to winning, 9-1. So if we just get momentum early, obviously scores or whatever, but just make them start to doubt themselves a little bit, because the Cardinals are just kind of just cruising through the schedule, and they're meeting a little bit of resistance, but whatever's been thrown at them, they've overcome. So I just love to see the Seahawks regain that home mojo that we had all last year and the year before. And if we can do that, we have a very good chance of winning this week.
I agree. I think I'll throw out. I'm not sold that they're going to be able to do much with Stanton, but we'll see. I mean, he came in right away and started throwing the ball, but he did struggle last week against a really good defense in Detroit. But I think the key to this game is our offense, and their defense is outstanding. They're having a great year. They deserve to be 9-1. There's no doubt about it. But I think, if you want to debate whether or not Wilson's in a slump, he is, he isn't, it doesn't matter. I think number 3 is going to have to win this game for Seattle. I think he's going to have to carry, and I know Marshawn is the center of that offense, but I think Russell Wilson is going to have to make those third down plays to keep drives alive, and I think really Russell Wilson is the key to this entire game. So, that being said, it's time for our predictions, our prognostications, and our game balls for the Cardinal game on Sunday. And we'll start with Matt. Matt, do you have a score? Do you have a prognostication and a game ball?
I do. I'll just also say that Melissa at work, who I work with, is a Cardinals fan. It's very rare that I have an NFL fan anywhere where I work, but I have one, and she is a Cardinals fan. She's a big Cardinals fan. So we have agreed that if she wins, I'm going to be wearing a Cardinals top, and if I win, she's going to be wearing a Seahawks top. So this will be good.
Right.
The score, I think, is going to be Seahawks 27, Cardinals 21.
Okay.
I'm going to give my game ball to Lamar Jean-Pierre, because
I hate you.
Because if we win, you're going to have to read out his name, and even if he doesn't start, you're going to have to read out his name. So I'm going to say Jean-Pierre is my game ball.
So it's Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, it is Lamar Jean-Pierre. It's very simple. Why do you struggle so much?
Just call him Lem.
Lem, yeah. And my prognostication, I think Beast will have a longest run of 67 yards.
Ooh, I like it.
Hey, Jean-Pierre will definitely start. I just want to throw that out there. He will be the dude.
Jean-Pierre will be the starter for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
From North Korea.
Yes. Will you have the pick for the game?
I'm going to go Seahawks 20, Cardinals 17. My prognostication is playing off point I had earlier. I think Sherman's not only going to get a pick, he's going to get a pick 6. And those 6 points are going to come in very handy. My game ball, though, is going to be Marshawn Lynch. I think he's going to, he may not have the best game statistically, but I think he's going to grind it out for most of the game. I think he's going to pop a big run or two when we need it. And I think he's going to keep our offense going in what's probably going to be a slog.
Certainly with Jean-Pierre to run behind, he'll do well.
Of course.
Yes. Dustin, what you got?
I think it's going to be kind of a struggle, but so it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to go 13-10 Seahawks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Pitcher's duel.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling about all this. And I think that prognostication-wise, I think the touchdown that the Seahawks score is going to be because Peterson gets beat in the end zone.
Okay.
I don't care who it is, but somebody's gonna beat that dude.
And who's your game ball?
I'm going to give my game ball to... Well, if Matt's going to go to a lineman, I'll just give it to a lineman, too. And I'll go, Sweezy. Why not? Just fun.
Jesus.
I
How
love
we're
the
going
way
to
it
figure out
worked
game
out.
balls.
Can I change mine? I want to give my game ball to Clint Gresham now.
All right, you got Gresham. You bastards. All right. Mark, what you got? Hopefully a game ball to somebody that's not a lineman.
Let's see here. I'm going to call this one 24-16 Seahawks. And I think we got it. I think it's just crucial to keep Arizona under 20 points in this game. Let's see. I think prognostication. I think we're welcoming back Bobby Wagner, which is huge among all the other guys we're getting back and healthy. So I'm going to say Bobby Wagner as an interception. And beyond that, I'm going to go ahead and give him the game ball as well. I think we really missed that guy. I mean, the timing is perfect to have him back. This is such a huge game, so I'm just really glad to see Wagner be out there.
I am too. 10 of
Me
11
too.
defensive starters will be playing, which is wonderful. Of course, Meebane's out for the year, but I think that's going to be huge. I'm kind of playing that theme a little bit. I'm going 23-17 Seattle. I think that Cam Chancellor will cause a turnover. That means he will either get an interception, or he'll recover a fumble, or he'll cause someone to fumble with a hit or something. But Cam will be in there in some turnover during this game, and I'm giving him the game ball for that. I think it's going to be a very costly turnover late in the game. He's either going to punch a ball out, or he's going to recover a fumble or an interception or something. But I think this is Bam Bam's time to shine. With everybody back, I think that's when he is going to do his best. So I'm going 23-17.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
And that's the end of the third quarter. We will come right back and talk about Thanksgiving Day and the game in San Francisco against the 49ers right after this quick station identification.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam. 49er fans need not apply.
What?
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, welcome back to the fourth and final quarter of a special double shot Cardinals 49er edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. We are entering the fourth quarter. We already did our Cardinal predictions for Sunday. Now we have to go all the way to Thanksgiving and predict the 49er game on Thanksgiving evening. And we'll start with Mark. What do you think, Mark, is a key to beating the 49ers?
Well, first off, I want to say that I would love to be at that game in person, but one, it's Thanksgiving, and two, I can't afford $600 per ticket.
Wow!
There are plenty of seats, though, from what I hear, but that's
Just show up after halftime. You'll get your pick of seats.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure on the pricing, but anyway, it'd be prohibitive for me at the moment. But, the key to this game, living down here behind enemy lines and so on, the 49ers are certainly in their own rut. They've had their own difficulties. And, for them, I think what we can exploit really is, they can be thrown on. They're missing some defensive guys still. And for that game, I expect Wilson to do well score-wise. Before I forget, I'm gonna call it 2017 Seahawks. I'm gonna say Wilson has over 250 yards passing, which for this season would be a decent amount for him. And I'm gonna give him the game ball in that game on Thursday, the holiday.
Wow. Okay, he went all out. All right. He went all out, Dustin, so I guess you follow suit. Give us a key to the game and go ahead and give us your predictions.
All right, well, I know it's tough to play down there. It's been rough for a while now. We usually split. But this year, the playoffs essentially started this weekend in Arizona. And, against Arizona. And I think the Seahawks are just going to be in playoff mindset. I think they're not going to care where they're playing. They're just going to be focused on a win. I think the Hawks are going to win. I think key to this game is going to be Marshawn Lynch and how he runs because there's just a whole different thing that happens when it's playoff time. And I think that switch is going to be on, and he's going to run all over him. I think the Seahawks are going to win 24-21. Game ball to Marshawn, and prognostication is going to be that, boy, I don't know.
Give us some yards for Lynch.
All right, there we go. I'm going to say Lynch is going to have about 137 yards.
All right.
Yeah, that was a tough one, man. I just know it's going to be. I was gonna have my prognostication be general goodness, but I didn't think that was enough. So.
General goodness will be had by all. Oh my gosh. Well, general goodness, Will. What do you have for us?
Well, I think we got a couple keys to the game. I think first off, we're playing on the short week, so if we need to beat the Cardinals first off, but it would help also if we can beat the Cardinals without wearing ourselves out too.
Yes.
The 49ers have an easier task this Sunday. They're playing the Redskins at home. That's not going to overly burden them. So yeah, I think we not only need to beat the Cardinals, but we need to do so reasonably handily. The other key to the game is just not letting Frank Gore run wild on us. I know he's not getting as many carries as he used to. I know he's getting up there, but how many freaking times have we gone down to San Francisco and Frank Gore has just gone off?
Ugh.
I mean, even last year, we held him in check most of the game, and he broke that 50-yard run on the game-winning drive. And I'm
swear to
sick
God,
of that guy running.
I swear to God,
us.
Frank Gore has been playing for 25 years.
I'm still waiting for the NFL apology on that one because Sherman was held, and he couldn't even get over to make that play. But whatever, Bill Levy wasn't repping, so we won't hear an apology. Moving on.
So yeah, I think we need to come in and be as fresh as we can, and I think we just need to stop Frank Gore and Carlos Hyde also, who will be Frank Gore 2.0. I have a sickening feeling.
Yeah.
My prediction, I'm going to go with 24-16 Seahawks. My prognostication is much like Mark's. I think Wilson is going to score 3 touchdowns in that game. Some combination of passes and runs. And I think we need to have an impromptu game of which is bigger, the number of Wilson's touchdowns or the number of Harbaugh's tantrums. Ooh, I'm picking Harbaugh on that one.
Yeah, he'd win that.
And I'll give Wilson the game ball because I think he's going to have a big game down there.
All right. Well done, Matt, from Merry Old England. What do you got,
Merry
buddy?
Old England. Well,
Yes.
I think one of the keys to this game really is to contain Kaepernick to a point. He does have the ability to run one on us if we're not careful, and run a couple of them, actually. So I think we have to be wary of that. Yes, Gore is going to cause us all sorts of problems. I agree entirely with what Will's just said because he's a nightmare. But I think Kaepernick has the ability to be equally as nightmare too. So we've got to keep him contained. Got to make sure we don't miss the read option, all that sort of stuff. I think the score is going to be Seahawks 24, San Francisco 13. I'm going to give my game ball to Irvin.
Are you sure you don't want Jean-Pierre?
No, not on this one. Not on this one. And I think Kaepernick will be sacked 4 times.
Wow. Nice.
Be nice to get a bunch of sacks in a game for a change.
Colin Sackerpick. The key to in my opinion, the key to this game is, quite frankly, Colin Kaepernick in the fourth quarter, as it was in the NFC Championship. And as I said on the show in the NFC Championship, I just don't think he can do it in the fourth quarter in a big game. I think this is a big game. I think he's home. But I think, once again, we're going to see Kaepernick crumble in the fourth quarter. And also, not just in the fourth quarter, but overall. I see the Seahawks winning 20-13. I see Colin Kaepernick having 3 interceptions in this game.
Woo!
And I think Sherman gets the game ball for maybe having more than one of those interceptions, because I have a feeling Kaepernick wants to throw over there, especially after what happened at the end of last year. So, let's see what happens Thanksgiving. And let's see what happens Sunday as your Seahawks take on the Arizona Cardinals.
Moses, can I just have a quick 2-minute warning? Sorry.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
Just to,
please.
It's Thanksgiving next week, and obviously we don't do Thanksgiving over here.
Yes.
I'm not going
You're
to
not very thankful.
No, we were just thankful we got rid of you, to be frankly honest. But just to say, all those bloody Puritans. I mean, really. Just to say thank you to you guys, obviously, for the show and for Moses and everything he does as well. I think that's really great. I'm not going to be around at the next show. They're going to tell you that I fall asleep and that I slept through it. I'm not going to sleep through it. I'm actually out partying in London. They're going to tell you I fell asleep.
Oh, you accuse!
Yeah, really. If you didn't listen this far in the program, then, well, you're missing out. But essence, my Thanksgiving to you guys is thanks very much for all the effort and stuff you do for this show, because it's fantastic. And I really do appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for all you do as well. And we'll hug it out later. But
oh no, don't go that far.
That's okay.
I think the Matt and Moses probably do the most for the show. The rest of us can just kind of show up and talk. So, you know?
Oh, hey,
well,
we'll
yeah,
do our part.
Yeah,
really important, Dustin.
Yeah, you guys do a hell of a job. So we appreciate you as well.
Yes, we do, and we'll have plenty of time to be thankful on our next week's show. But yes, thank you, Matt, for sharing that with us. You're going to be, as they like to say in England, pissed in London all weekend.
Well, yeah, that's true. Dustin, just to say, you had one job tonight, and that was to give a prognostication, and you couldn't do it. All right, so you know.
Oh, ouch!
It was delayed, but it happened.
I tell you what, though, if we're 6-6 at this time next week, I'm going to be thankful for Irish whiskey.
Yikes.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be thankful next week. Thank you, Matt. That was very nice of you to say. And it does look like it's time to bring this wonderful and amazing 12th Man Fan Jam to a sad close. We are so glad that you decided to waste some time with us. It was, as usual, a show that raised the bar here at the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, and we certainly hope you laughed a little and that you just maybe learned a little something along the way. And what did we learn this evening on the show? Well, we learned that Matt loves Thorold Simon. we learned that Will loves cats. We learned you can't use gum as currency, and that vampires love lobsters and mashed potatoes. So, on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt, our news hound, Shadowhawk Will, our statsman, Mark, Dustin, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, saying enjoy the game Sunday, and as always, go Hawks!
Go Hawks! Go Hawks! Pass the peace.